2 years ago, a group of 24, now 25, OPEC and non-OPEC countries began a new chapter in the history of the oil industry. The Declaration of Cooperation process. At that time, the oil market was in the midst of a downturn which had started in mid-2014. The effects were dramatic and destructive, affecting countries, companies, jobs, and investments around the world. The Declaration of Cooperation was the culmination of many months of hard work on the part of all involved, OPEC and non-OPEC countries and the Secretariat. Hundreds of meetings and phone calls, emails and letters were exchanged. These led first to a decision at the 170th Ministerial Meeting on September 28, 2016. The second step was a landmark meeting on November 30, 2016, at the 171st meeting of the conference, which saw OPEC countries unanimously decide to adjust production down. On December 10, 2016, non-OPEC producers joined in the efforts, and a total OPEC and non-OPEC adjustment of 1.8 million barrels per day was agreed upon at the first OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting in Vienna. The oil industry transformed immediately. Stability quickly re-emerged, and perhaps most importantly, OPEC and non-OPEC ministers found themselves building networks and friendships in a way that was unimaginable before. The declaration is a first in the industry and a first in the world. Solidarity, fairness, transparency, the bedrock of all sustainable diplomatic efforts, are the principles upon which the declaration is built and continue to drive OPEC and non-OPEC cooperation. As Qatar's Minister of Energy and Industry and the OPEC Conference President in 2016, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Saleh Al Sada stated at a press conference right after the signing of the Declaration of Cooperation,
"Our agreement is really stemmed from the sense of responsibility towards the balancing of the market, which will lead to positive results not only for producers and exporters, but also to consumers and to the healthy economy we all require to the world."
His Excellency Alexander Novak, Minister of Energy for the Russian Federation and a huge champion of non-OPEC participation, stated at the same event,
I believe that this is a truly historic event. It is the first time that so many countries from different parts of the world producing oil have gathered in one room to accomplish what we have done.
Khalid Afaleh, Saudi Arabia's Minister of Energy, Industry and Mineral Resources and President of the OPEC Conference in 2017, added,
I am obviously delighted to have been part not only of the agreement today, but I think more importantly through the process that has culminated in what has already been termed by my two colleagues as being very historic.
We want to thank these esteemed ministers for always going the extra mile, for never tiring in the face of all odds, and for making the declaration a reality. Each brought their own significant and essential contributions to this historical process. These efforts were carried on throughout 2018 by President of the Conference and Minister of Energy and Industry for the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Suhail Mohammed Al Mazrui.
There is now a global recognition that without this collaborative action, the market would have continued to exhibit extreme volatility and future uncertainty, with far-reaching negative consequences for not only producers, but consumers, investors, and the whole industry, and as well the global economy.
OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo had these words for His Excellency Al-Mazrouei at the most recent Joint Technical Committee meeting. This outstanding minister, in his capacity as president of the OPEC conference in 2018, has inspired all of us through his expert diplomacy and mastery of the craft of statesmanship. I speak, of course, of the illustrious Emirati, His Excellency Suhail Mohammed Al-Mazrouei. We also want to especially thank the Russian Federation and all our other non-OPEC partners for standing firmly and consistently behind their commitment and being strong and verbal supporters of the cooperation. The successes reached were strongly backed by the monitoring system put into place under the Declaration of Cooperation. Today, the Joint Technical Committee and the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee are institutions in their own right, widely lauded for their tireless work. Participants' unshakable resolve to act in the interests of producers and consumers was also clear in unprecedented conformity figures seen since the beginning of the process. These efforts have been central to the oil market recovery seen in 2017 and 2018 and have had a multiplier effect for the world's economy. All this has supported financial markets, which significantly helped to improve market fundamentals. So tonight is a time to celebrate all that we have achieved on this long and winding road we started down 2 years ago. The Declaration of Cooperation will continue as a hallmark in history, one which heralded in a new era of cooperation and collaboration. Participants of the Declaration of Cooperation have gained very rich experience since its initiation.
Now it's a very, very good and huge, I think, development in relation between OPEC, among OPEC and Russia and some other non-OPEC producers. It's important, very important for OPEC, I believe, is evolution. In the history of OPEC and history of the oil production, we have been very successful. The compliance from OPEC and non-OPEC contributor was very good, close to 100%, but it seems this cooperation is working well, and it sent a good signal to us that we are going in a right way.
And the lessons learned will serve the industry well into the future. The next stage in this remarkable journey is to ensure that the trust and friendships forged over the past few years continue to grow and strengthen. These bonds will allow producers to address evolving issues in a rapidly changing market. Thanks to the Declaration of Cooperation, we are confident that, together with our non-OPEC partners, we are more able to meet future challenges than ever before.